Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another RebelScum.com video. Today, I have the great pleasure to be with probably one of the greatest droid actors of our time, Mr. Chris Bartlett of Star Wars. So, Chris, first of all, we know you've played droids, right? Mm-hmm. So you've played droids in series like The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett, and maybe something else in the future. I hope.
I hope too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would love to see a return of Zero. So one of the most notable roles I think we have here is Zero. So, what was your first experience working for Star Wars? Was The Mandalorian your first gig?
No, I've been working as C-3PO for the last 16 years.
Oh, okay.
On television, wherever he appears on live action, you know, and so that was really my first Star Wars gig. So wherever, you know, like the Oscars or Super Bowl commercials or you know, the premieres on the red carpet and things like that. But yeah, so but Zero was my first audition into another character.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. So how many droids would you say you've played at this point for Lucasfilm, whether it's in-person appearances or TV or movie appearances?
Well, I can't give you
an exact number. Something we may have already seen on screen then.
Oh, yeah. Then I would say we're probably up to 9.
9?
Yeah. And yeah, and it's a dream come true because I love robots and I love these characters. They're all different, you know. Droids in the Star Wars universe are like you know, appliances like refrigerators and microwave ovens. So a lot of them look alike, but a lot of them are different. You know, they're not necessarily seen in the galaxy as a member of the family, but they are more of kind of like a tool that you use, you know, and sometimes they can be deactivated, but they can always be reactivated.
That's good to know. So for those of you who haven't seen, of course, in The Mandalorian, he's played characters such as the hit character Zero. We have the teacher droid from season 2 of The Mandalorian. We have the Death Star droid, the RA-7 droid. Of course, technically, I guess it's not the Death Star droid because you weren't on the Death Star.
Right.
But
original trilogy fans would recognize this character as a Death Star droid. Yeah.
But you also have a non-droid character here, very similar to the character Gryndon from Star Wars A New Hope. We have the ferryman from the very first episode of The Mandalorian. So what was it like getting to play the flute, and was it cold?
It was actually cold because we had a fan blowing. It was a practical set. There was a real pier and water and everything. What was it like? It was the first time I had been in a narrative, an official Star Wars narrative. So doing it, filming it, was like everything had slowed down. You know, it was like slow motion because my entire life had you know, been preparing for this moment. So I step up on that pier, and it was just magical. So playing the flute though was not as magical because you know, when you look out at the goggles, you can't see down below. And you can't see your snout, nor can you feel it. And the bit was I was supposed to catch the credits, put the snout or put the flute in the snout, and play the little tune. And you had to do that all in one motion.
How many takes did that take?
25.
Oh wow. Okay. So was it a combination of all right, I caught it. Oh crap.
The flute in the snout was the trickiest part.
Challenge.
Yeah, so you know it's down there. And I'm trying to like that's nope. And I have the whole crew is watching me at this time while we're doing it.
I imagine there were some chuckles.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. And anyway, but I found it and stuck the landing, and it was fine.
Well, we never saw you struggle doing it on screen, so I guess you nailed it pretty good.
Yeah.
So. What was your first time getting on Lucasfilm? We discussed that you've been doing it for 16 years, but what was your first job for Lucasfilm as a droid actor, and how did you get that role?
The first was we did a media appearance. It was really an audition in Sydney, Australia, and it was one of these things where there was a voice track and they needed someone in the suit, and so I just listened to the voice track and I did plan some animations based on watching Anthony Daniels' performances, and. But how I got the gig was I'd been building costumes for several years, about 6 years, and had built my own C-3PO costume, and they found out about it and invited me to come to Lucasfilm to finish building it, and then I did the audition, and that's a shorter version of that story, but I'm so grateful to be able to do it, and so then that led to many other appearances, like the Oscars and Super Bowl commercials and appearances on Lego Masters and lots of other, whenever you see 3PO on TV and with R2. Yeah.
Very nice. So do you still build suits today?
Yes, I do. And I still build costumes, and I'm grateful to be able to have a part in creating some of these characters for the shows.
So you don't only build costumes for yourself, but you also build costumes for Lucasfilm and Star Wars as well.
I'm part of the creation process. Yes.
Wow. I bet that's a lot of fun.
It is, because I love bringing ideas to the set and to the characters. So it's so much fun, and you never, when you're doing this stuff as a fan, the dream is always, what if they saw this and thought that it was worthy in some way? But of course that would never happen, because I'm just a guy in my garage at 2 a.m., making my own dreams come true. Mm-hmm. But then when the call comes, it's like, you better be ready, because, it's a big responsibility to bring, new characters or familiar characters to the Star Wars universe for fans and audiences.
So, of course, we're going to go back to Zero.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like, first of all, flying the Razor Crest?
Mm-hmm.
And then, secondly, after that, there is a similar-looking droid to Zero. It almost looks like it's the same droid. Is the droid on Navarro also Zero, or is that just a droid that happens to look like Zero? I know there's some fan confusion on that.
Yeah, so the question is, in episode 3, The Sin, there are a bunch of bounty hunters that are kind of closing in on Mando. That's the scene you're talking about, right?
Yes.
And then there's a shootout in the streets, and then all the Mandos come in and rescue the Mandalorian. That is me in the same costume I wore as Zero, but it is another model, according to Dave Filoni, another model, similar looking. I have like you can tell he's different because he has a different bandolier and different weapon. Mm-hmm. And so, but for me, as a childhood fan of Star Wars, I got to be in a Star Wars shootout, which I had been practicing, as a kid for many years. So of course, when we're doing it, they yell cut, and I'm still dodging behind the boxes and the crates, and I'm shooting like this, practicing or whatever, just because I was having so much fun, and I didn't want it to end. It was so awesome. In flying the Razor Crest, my first, I knew it was in the script. I'd been, preparing for this for months, because I knew it was in the script, but really my whole life I had been preparing for that moment. So Jon Favreau says, Chris, why don't you go get familiar with the cockpit? And so I was like by myself, and I could go on the Razor Crest, and I'm flipping all the buttons and turning all the switches, and it's all lighting up, and it's all real. And then Jon Favreau comes in and goes, since you're a droid, you're just going to be jacked into the ship. You're not going to be doing all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm still going to be doing that stuff. So I'm still flipping all the buttons, So when you watch the show and you see him in the Scump jack, driving the ship that way, and I'm still reaching up and pushing buttons, that was just because
I mean, you can't help yourself.
You can't. I mean, as a fan, and you're in a Star Wars ship, you want to do that, and so we were doing that, and it was really fun. And Deborah Chow was such a great director. She said, "Chris, I want you to give me 0 energy," and I was like, "I know exactly what you mean." so that's what we did. It was a lot of fun.
So let's go back to the shootout scene on Navarro. You're having a lot of fun. You're dodging and weaving and stuff.
Yeah.
Be honest. You were making pew pew noises, weren't you?
Inside the helmet, you're trying to actually be the character. So I am imagining as loud as I can these sounds, and maybe I might have made a couple pew pew sounds, but it was so real because they had pyro going off and everything. I mean, my little 8-year-old self inside my adult self was just like, this is amazing, but we also have to keep that contained because we're telling stories and you have to be professional actors.
Sure.
And I just played it really cool, but inside I was blowing up.
I can imagine. All right, and I know we're almost out of time here for today, so I've got one last question for you. Out of all the suits, droid suit or alien, I know you've played a handful of aliens, what would you say is your favorite costume to operate? Not necessarily favorite character to play.
Right.
Just your favorite costume that you've operated.
Yeah.
That you can tell us about at least.
That we've seen. I would say the favorite would be, I think probably the ferryman because it was so comfortable. I'm just wearing a parka and comfortable pants and boots and gloves. It was great. I think that was the most comfortable, one. But maybe we could talk another time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
tuned.
0 is just my favorite character. It was very comfortable, and I looked great from the waist up, but from the waist down, I was just gray spandex, and it was.
So they didn't have you in any kind of plating for the 0 costume from the waist down,
right? Because the legs were all CG, which they show in Disney Gallery on Disney Plus. So, yeah, it was very comfortable. Legacy did an amazing job on that costume, and I loved it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much, and
thanks, Bobby.
You said we might have more to talk about, so.
Who knows?
I look forward to our next interview. Guys, stay tuned for that. But while you're here right now, make sure you're going to rebelscum.com daily for all kinds of news, articles, and info, and videos and interviews like this one. But in case you don't want to miss out on those in the future, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button so that you know when these videos go up so you don't miss awesome interviews like this. In case you want to see future interviews with Mr. Chris Bartlett, make sure you hit those notifications so you know in case we get to see him and talk to him again. So stay tuned for more. Make sure you go to rebelscumshop.com for all kinds of awesome exclusive merch. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. May the Force be with all of you, you Rebel Scum.